Semifinals are set in the college football playoff, with the first semifinal matchup being Notre Dame taking on Penn State Nittany Lions in the Orange Bowl. What is your initial bet for this game?
Yeah, so right away, just kind of right after the Sugar Bowl ends on Thursday, I go ahead. I bet Notre Dame on the money line minus 120. Part of the reason why was because
Okay.
going into the quarterfinal round, I was very adamant that I was going to take Notre Dame or Georgia if they were going to play Penn State
Yeah.
in the Orange Bowl. And part of the reason why I thought Penn State could be a little overrated just because they played SMU in the first round at home. Then they played Boise State. They're a double digit favorite. So those wins weren't going to really change my view on Penn State. I still think they could struggle in games against teams more in their weight class in terms of competition, which is what we're going to see in this
Mm,
game. And I also thought right after Notre Dame's kind of impressive win against Georgia, at least on the scoreboard, winning by 13 points, that this line might go from an opener of Notre Dame minus 1.5 to not quite three, but close to three, where maybe the money line
yeah.
would be a little bit higher on Notre Dame, like minus 140. So I just kind of want to lock in a what I thought would be a cheap money line on the Fighting Irish. But then kind of looking back at the game, I know they win by 13 points, but two of the touchdowns were, I wouldn't say fluky, but it was a 13-yard pass on the first play after a Gunnar Stockton fumble. So a one play drive. And
Hmm.
then they housed the opening kickoff to start the second half and kind of put the game out of
Yep.
reach, especially with what Georgia was working with offensively.
All right, and if people haven't made a bet yet on this game, should they bet it now or should they wait till closer to Thursday?
So I'll admit I probably maybe jumped a little bit too I'm a little too anxious or eager to be anti Penn State and fade the Nittany Lions, and that's why I went Notre Dame. But I still like
Sure.
Notre Dame in this, but I think there's actually, if you want to wait, I wouldn't blame you. And I think there's a couple injury situations that you need to monitor in this game. Two really good players for each side. The first one, Penn State
Hmm.
edge rusher Abdul Carter. He missed most of the Fiesta Bowl. He got that early injury. He's an impactful player for Penn State.
Hmm.
He's probably going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. But on the Notre Dame side, running back Jeremiah Love was limping towards the end of the Sugar Bowl. I know he hasn't really been close to 100% even going into the
Hmm.
playoff. But my other worry with Notre Dame and why I think maybe Penn State could see some money from now until kickoff of this game is Notre Dame has some worries on the defensive line depth wise. They had a pass rusher, Riley Mills, who's one of their better pass rushers this season. He got hurt in the Indiana game. It was a season ending injury. So they were without him against Georgia, which I know is kind of a big concern, kind of closer into that Sugar Bowl matchup. I thought Notre
Hmm.
Dame did a good job, though. They had a lot of guys step up. But now it's a quick turnaround. You just played a really physical, big offensive line in Georgia. Penn State has 2 extra days of rest. Now you're kind of questioning, like, what are we going to get from Notre Dame? Are they going to be able to turn in another performance at that high of a level, especially down
Hmm.
one of their better defensive ends? So I think that's kind of like the question for the game, how Notre Dame's defensive line is going to hold up in general. So
Yeah.
I think if you like Notre Dame, maybe you could wait a little bit. If Abdul Carter gets ruled in, maybe you get a better number, like a pick 'em on
Hmm.
Notre Dame. But it's just something that it's kind of what your risk tolerance is. Do you want to
Yeah.
go out bet Notre Dame now, and then maybe some bad news comes against you, especially if Jeremiah Love is
Yeah.
out or clearly not 100%, or do you want to maybe wait it out, see if the news goes bad for Notre Dame in terms of the injury stuff and positive for Penn State, and then maybe you can get Notre Dame at a better number. So it's kind of your choice, but those are just a couple situations to monitor in this game where Penn State might have the edge in terms of rest and not
Hmm.
having to exert a lot of energy against SMU and Boise State when Notre Dame had to, and now is going to be on a week turnaround. So it's just really
Yeah.
a lot of factors going into this game. But with that being said, I do like Notre Dame to win this game and advance to the national championship.